What if I told you that three foods many diabetics fear the most could actually help lower blood sugar, calm insulin resistance, and protect your nerves and heart when used the right way? Most people with diabetes are taught to avoid crunchy foods, sweet foods, and creamy spreads altogether. One wrong bite, they're told, and blood sugar will spike. But here's the truth no one explains. It's not the category of food that causes problems. It's the choice, portion, and timing. That's why some diabetics feel constantly restricted, hungry, and frustrated, while others quietly use everyday foods to stabilize glucose, reduce cravings, and improve long-term A1C without extreme diets or supplements. The difference isn't luck, it's strategy. In this video, you'll discover three powerful food categories, one crunchy, one naturally sweet, and one creamy, that work through completely different metabolic pathways. One helps insulin work better, one supports digestion and minerals, and one improves hormone balance and glucose control throughout the day. Once you understand how these categories work and how to use them correctly, food stops being scary and starts becoming one of your strongest tools for managing diabetes. First on the list, dry nuts. When it comes to managing diabetes, snacks are often misunderstood. Some people are told to avoid dry nuts because of fat and calories, while others are encouraged to eat them freely without guidance. The truth is more precise. Certain dry nuts, when chosen carefully and eaten in the right portions, act as powerful metabolic tools that stabilize blood sugar, protect nerves, support heart health, and improve long-term A1C. Among all options, almonds, walnuts, and pistachios consistently stand out as the most diabetes-friendly dry nuts, each working through a different pathway inside the body. Almonds form the foundation of blood sugar stability. They have a very low glycemic index, around 15, and a glycemic load close to 1 per serving, meaning they cause minimal glucose rise when eaten alone. 1 ounce of almonds, about 23 nuts, provides roughly 164 calories, 14 grams of fat, 6 grams of protein, and 6 grams of carbohydrates, with 3.5 grams of fiber, just 2.5 grams of net carbs. Almonds are especially rich in magnesium, providing about 76 milligrams per ounce, nearly 18% of the daily value. Magnesium improves insulin receptor sensitivity, supports nerve signaling, and helps regulate blood pressure, all of which are commonly impaired in diabetes. Almonds are also one of the best nuts for nerve and eye protection. They provide around 7.3 milligrams of vitamin E per ounce, close to 50% of the daily value. Vitamin E protects nerves from oxidative damage caused by elevated blood sugar and supports retinal health. For diabetics experiencing tingling, numbness, or early vision changes, almonds offer daily nutritional protection. Almonds also improve leptin sensitivity, helping reduce constant hunger and preventing overeating driven by insulin resistance. Walnuts contribute a different layer of benefit by targeting inflammation and cardiovascular health. Walnuts have a glycemic index close to 0 because they contain very little digestible carbohydrate. 1 ounce of walnuts, about 14 halves, provides roughly 185 calories, 18 grams of fat, 4 grams of protein, and about 4 grams of carbohydrates, with 2 grams of fiber. Their most valuable component is alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fat that reduces inflammation, improves blood vessel flexibility, and supports healthy cholesterol balance. For diabetics, chronic inflammation is a root driver of insulin resistance, nerve damage, and heart disease. Walnuts help calm this inflammatory state, allowing insulin to work more efficiently. Regular walnut intake improves endothelial function, meaning better blood flow to the heart, brain, kidneys, and peripheral nerves. This is especially important for diabetics with circulation problems, cold extremities, or elevated cardiovascular risk. Walnuts also support brain health and mental clarity, which can decline with unstable blood sugar. Pistachios complete the trio by focusing on glucose spikes, gut health, and electrolyte balance. Pistachios have a glycemic index around 15 and a very low glycemic load, even when eaten with carbohydrates. 1 ounce of pistachios, about 49 kernels, provides roughly 159 calories, 13 grams of fat, 6 grams of protein, and 8 grams of carbohydrates with 3 grams of fiber, around 5 grams of net carbs. Pistachios are especially rich in potassium, offering about 290 milligrams per ounce, which supports kidney filtration, blood pressure regulation, and nerve signaling. Many diabetics lose potassium through frequent urination or medication use, leading to fatigue, cramps, and nerve irritation. Pistachios also contain lutein and zeaxanthin, antioxidants that protect the eyes from diabetic damage and reduce oxidative stress in the brain. Another key advantage of pistachios is their effect on gut health. Pistachios act as prebiotics, feeding beneficial gut bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate. These compounds strengthen the gut lining, reduce inflammation, and improve insulin signaling in the liver. This gut-liver connection explains why pistachios are especially effective at reducing post-meal glucose spikes when eaten with carbohydrate-containing foods. In controlled dietary trials, adding a small measured portion of mixed nuts to meals reduced post-meal blood sugar spikes by 25 to 30% and improved insulin sensitivity within weeks. This effect occurs without eliminating carbohydrates or cutting calories. Dry nuts work by slowing digestion, calming inflammation, and improving how glucose is handled inside the cell. What makes almonds, walnuts, and pistachios particularly powerful is how they complement each other metabolically. Almonds improve insulin sensitivity and mineral balance, walnuts quiet inflammation and protect blood vessels, and pistachios stabilize glucose while supporting gut and electrolyte health. Together, they address insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, and glucose volatility, three major challenges in diabetes. Personalization strengthens these benefits. If nerve tingling, eye strain, or mineral imbalance is your main concern, almonds should play the largest role. If heart health or inflammation is your priority, walnuts deserve more focus. And if sudden glucose spikes, fatigue, or frequent urination are your biggest challenges, pistachios offer the most immediate support. Matching the nut to your dominant symptom removes guesswork and improves results. Portion control remains essential. The ideal daily intake is 1 ounce total, not 1 ounce of each. This can be eaten as a single snack or divided across the day. Dry nuts work best mid-morning, mid-afternoon, or 10 to 15 minutes before a carbohydrate-containing meal to slow glucose absorption. A simple approach is preparing a home nut mix using raw or dry roasted almonds, walnuts, and pistachios. Measure 1 ounce to avoid overeating. This mix can be eaten alone or added to salads, yogurt, or vegetables. A common myth is that dry nuts cause weight gain in diabetics. In reality, regular nut intake improves appetite control and reduces blood sugar crashes that trigger cravings. Moderation, not avoidance, is the key. Choose unsalted or lightly salted nuts with no added sugars or coatings. Candied or flavored nuts can spike blood sugar. Those with advanced kidney disease should monitor potassium intake. But for most diabetics, these nuts are safe. In the U.S., almonds cost about $5 to $7 per pound, walnuts $6 to $8, and pistachios $7 to $10. A small daily portion delivers long-term metabolic value that outweighs the cost. Dry nuts are not just snacks, they are metabolic tools. When almonds, walnuts, and pistachios are used correctly, they support blood sugar control, nerve and eye protection, heart health, and overall metabolic balance. And while dry nuts form a strong foundation, they are only the beginning. There's another category many diabetics fear because it tastes sweet. Yet when chosen wisely, it can support insulin, digestion, and energy in surprising ways. Let's look at dried fruits next. Second on the list, dried fruits. Dried fruits are one of the most misunderstood foods in diabetes. Many people are told to avoid them entirely because they taste sweet, while others consume them freely without portion control. The truth is more nuanced. Certain dried fruits, when chosen carefully and eaten in precise amounts, can support blood sugar control, digestion, nerve health, and even energy levels. Among all options, dried apricots, dried cranberries, and prunes stand out as the most diabetes-friendly dried fruits because they offer fiber, minerals, and protective plant compounds that change how sugar is absorbed in the body. Dried apricots form the backbone of this category. While fresh apricots are seasonal, dried apricots offer a concentrated source of potassium, beta-carotene, and fiber. nutrients that diabetics commonly lack. Unsweetened dried apricots have a moderate glycemic index, generally around 30 to 35, but their glycemic load stays low when portions are controlled. A standard serving of dried apricots is about 1/4 cup, roughly 35 grams, providing around 85 calories, 1 gram of protein, 22 grams of carbohydrates, and about 3 grams of fiber. This leaves approximately 19 grams of net carbs, which may sound high, but the fiber and mineral content significantly slow glucose absorption. Potassium is one of the most important benefits of dried apricots. A 1/4 cup serving provides roughly 450 milligrams of potassium, nearly 10% of the daily value. Potassium helps regulate blood pressure, supports kidney filtration, and improves nerve signaling. Many diabetics experience potassium loss due to frequent urination or medication use, which contributes to fatigue, muscle cramps, and nerve discomfort. Dried apricots help restore this balance naturally. They are also rich in beta-carotene, which the body converts to vitamin A. This supports eye health, immune function, and skin repair, areas often compromised in diabetes. Dried apricots also support digestion. Their soluble fiber slows carbohydrate absorption and feeds beneficial gut bacteria. A healthier gut environment reduces inflammation and improves insulin sensitivity in the liver, which helps stabilize blood sugar beyond just the meal in which they are eaten. When paired with protein or healthy fats, dried apricots become far more blood sugar friendly than when eaten alone. Dried cranberries play a different role. Most people associate cranberries with urinary tract health, but unsweetened dried cranberries offer unique benefits for diabetics when used correctly. The key word is unsweetened. Sweetened cranberries are often coated in sugar and should be avoided. Unsweetened dried cranberries have a glycemic index in the low to moderate range and are extremely rich in polyphenols, especially proanthocyanidins. These compounds reduce inflammation, improve insulin signaling, and help prevent harmful bacteria from attaching to the urinary tract lining. This is particularly important for diabetics, who are more prone to urinary infections due to elevated glucose in the urine. By supporting urinary and kidney health, dried cranberries help reduce one of the most common diabetes-related complications. A typical portion of unsweetened dried cranberries is about 2 tablespoons, roughly 20 grams. This provides around 60 calories, 15 grams of carbohydrates, and about 2 grams of fiber. While the fiber content may seem modest, the polyphenols play a powerful role in slowing glucose absorption and reducing oxidative stress. Dried cranberries are especially helpful for diabetics who struggle with frequent infections, inflammation, or bladder irritation. Prunes, or dried plums, complete the trio by focusing on digestion, bone health, and glucose stability. Prunes have a relatively low glycemic index, around 29, and a low glycemic load when eaten in small amounts. A serving of prunes is typically 2 to 3 pieces, providing about 60 to 75 calories, 16 grams of carbohydrates, and roughly 2 grams of fiber. What makes prunes unique is their combination of sorbitol, fiber, and polyphenols. Sorbitol is a naturally occurring sugar alcohol that slows digestion and reduces rapid glucose absorption. This makes prunes particularly helpful for diabetics with constipation or sluggish digestion, a common issue due to nerve involvement in the gut. By improving bowel regularity, prunes indirectly support better blood sugar control, as slow digestion leads to smoother glucose curves. Prunes also support bone health, which is often overlooked in diabetes. They contain vitamin K, boron, and potassium, nutrients that support bone density and reduce fracture risk. For older diabetics or those with long-term insulin resistance, maintaining bone strength is critical. In controlled dietary studies, adding small portions of dried fruits with fiber and polyphenols to meals has been shown to reduce post-meal glucose spikes by 20 to 25% compared to consuming refined sweets. The key difference is structure. Dried fruits retain fiber and plant compounds that slow sugar release, while refined sweets do not. What makes dried apricots, dried cranberries, and prunes effective together is how they complement each other. Dried apricots replenish potassium and support nerves and eyes. Dried cranberries reduce inflammation and protect the urinary system, and prunes improve digestion and glucose stability. Together, they address mineral depletion, inflammation, and gut dysfunction, three major contributors to poor blood sugar control. Personalization makes these benefits even stronger. If you struggle with nerve pain, muscle cramps, or low energy, dried apricots should be your priority. If urinary issues, infections, or inflammation are your concern, unsweetened dried cranberries deserve more focus. And if constipation, bloating, or irregular digestion affects your glucose control, prunes offer the most direct support. Portion control is critical with dried fruits. Unlike dry nuts, dried fruits are more concentrated in carbohydrates, so smaller servings matter. The safest approach is to treat dried fruits as add-ins, not snacks on their own. Pair them with nuts, seeds, yogurt, or nut butter to slow digestion and blunt glucose impact. Eating dried fruits alone on an empty stomach is the most common mistake diabetics make. A simple diabetic-friendly option is mixing chopped dried apricots or prunes into plain Greek yogurt with a handful of nuts. Another option is adding unsweetened dried cranberries to salads with olive oil and protein. These combinations reduce glycemic impact while improving satisfaction. A common myth is that all dried fruits spike blood sugar the same way. In reality, dried fruits with fiber, polyphenols, and minerals behave very differently from candies or baked desserts. The problem is not dried fruit itself. It's portion size and added sugar. Always check labels carefully. Choose unsweetened dried fruits with no added sugar, syrups, or oils. Sulfur-treated fruits are generally safe, but those sensitive to sulfites may prefer unsulfured varieties. If you have advanced kidney disease, potassium intake should be monitored, especially with dried apricots. Price in the U.S. Unsweetened dried apricots typically cost around $4 to $6 per pound, dried cranberries $5 to $7 per pound, and prunes $3 to $5 per pound. Because portions are small, a single bag lasts a long time. Dried fruits are not replacements for fresh fruit, but they are powerful tools when used strategically. When dried apricots, dried cranberries, and prunes are chosen wisely and paired correctly, they support blood sugar stability, digestion, nerve health, and overall metabolic balance. And while dried fruits add sweetness, there is one more category that delivers creaminess and deep metabolic support without sugar overload. Let's move on to nut butters next. Third on the list, nut butters. Nut butters are one of the most powerful yet misunderstood foods for people living with diabetes. Many diabetics avoid them out of fear of fat, calories, or weight gain, while others consume them freely without understanding timing or portion control. The reality is far more precise. Certain nut butters, when chosen carefully and eaten in the right amounts at the right time, can improve insulin sensitivity, flatten glucose spikes, support nerve and heart health, and even help regulate appetite and hormones. Among all options, peanut butter, almond butter, and pistachio butter stand out as the most diabetes-friendly nut butters, each serving a unique metabolic role. Peanut butter forms the metabolic anchor of this category because of how it affects glucose handling in muscle tissue. Natural peanut butter has a very low glycemic index, generally between 13 and 18, and a glycemic load under 2 when eaten in standard portions. 2 tablespoons of natural peanut butter provide about 190 calories, 16 grams of fat, 8 grams of protein, and roughly 7 grams of carbohydrates, with 2 grams of fiber, leaving about 5 grams of net carbs. What makes peanut butter especially valuable for diabetics is not just its low glycemic impact, but its ability to activate glucose transport into cells. Peanut butter contains magnesium, resveratrol, and monounsaturated fats that stimulate GLUT4 transporters in muscle and fat cells. GLUT4 acts as a gateway that moves glucose from the bloodstream into cells to be used for energy. In insulin resistance, this gateway becomes sluggish. Peanut butter helps reactivate this pathway, allowing glucose to be cleared from the blood more efficiently, even when insulin signaling is impaired. This is why peanut butter works best earlier in the day or 10 to 15 minutes before a carbohydrate-containing meal, when it can reduce post-meal glucose spikes by up to 25 to 30%. Peanut butter also supports hormone balance, particularly cortisol. Many diabetics struggle with high fasting blood sugar due to elevated morning cortisol, which triggers liver glucose release. The fat-protein combination in peanut butter calms adrenal stress responses and helps reduce cortisol-driven sugar surges. In addition, peanut butter contains beta-sitosterol, a plant sterol that supports adrenal regulation and may help reduce abdominal fat linked to insulin resistance. Another often overlooked benefit of peanut butter is its effect on brain chemistry. It provides tyrosine, an amino acid required for dopamine production. Dopamine supports focus, motivation, and mood, areas that often decline with unstable blood sugar. When eaten in moderation, peanut butter can improve mental clarity and energy without causing a glucose crash. Almond butter plays a different role. While peanut butter focuses on glucose transport and cortisol control, almond butter excels at long-term hormone balance and appetite regulation. Almond butter has a glycemic index around 15 and a glycemic load under 1 per serving. 2 tablespoons provide approximately 190 to 200 calories, 18 grams of fat, 7 grams of protein, and about 6 grams of carbohydrates, with 3 grams of fiber, just 3 grams of net carbs. Almond butter is especially rich in magnesium, delivering about 89 milligrams per 2 tablespoons, roughly 21% of the daily value. Magnesium improves insulin receptor sensitivity, supports nerve conduction, and helps regulate blood pressure. Almond butter also increases adiponectin, a hormone that improves insulin sensitivity and fat metabolism. Low adiponectin levels are strongly associated with higher A1C and visceral fat in diabetics, making almond butter particularly valuable for long-term metabolic improvement. Another key hormone almond butter influences is leptin, the hormone that signals fullness. Many diabetics experience leptin resistance, meaning they feel hungry even after eating. Almond butter helps restore leptin sensitivity, leading to better appetite control and fewer cravings throughout the day. This makes almond butter especially useful as a midday food that prevents overeating later. Vitamin E is another standout nutrient in almond butter. 2 tablespoons provide about 7.7 milligrams, over 50% of the daily value. Vitamin E protects nerves, eyes, skin, and blood vessels from oxidative damage caused by high glucose levels. For diabetics experiencing early neuropathy, circulation problems, or eye strain, almond butter offers daily antioxidant protection. Pistachio butter completes the trio by focusing on mineral balance, gut health, and nighttime glucose stability. Like whole pistachios, pistachio butter has a low glycemic index, around 15, and a low glycemic load when unsweetened. 2 tablespoons provide roughly 180 to 190 calories, 15 grams of fat, 6 grams of protein, and about 8 grams of carbohydrates with 3 grams of fiber. Pistachio butter is especially rich in potassium and vitamin B6. Potassium supports kidney filtration, nerve signaling, and blood pressure regulation, areas often compromised in diabetes. Vitamin B6 plays a key role in neurotransmitter production and nerve repair, making pistachio butter particularly helpful for diabetics experiencing nerve tingling, muscle weakness, or sleep disturbances. One of pistachio butter's most unique benefits is its effect on the gut-brain-liver axis. Pistachio butter contains prebiotic compounds that feed beneficial gut bacteria, increasing production of short-chain fatty acids like butyrate. These compounds reduce inflammation, strengthen the gut lining, and improve insulin signaling in the liver. This is why pistachio butter often feels calming rather than stimulating and is best used later in the day or early evening rather than in the morning. In controlled nutrition studies, diets that included nut butters in controlled portions improved insulin sensitivity and reduced post-meal glucose excursions by 20 to 30% compared to diets that avoided fats entirely. The benefit came not from removing carbohydrates, but from slowing digestion and improving hormonal signaling. What makes peanut butter, almond butter, and pistachio butter particularly effective together is how they cover different metabolic needs. Peanut butter improves glucose uptake and cortisol control. Almond butter balances appetite and long-term insulin sensitivity. And pistachio butter supports mineral balance, gut health, and nervous system calm. Together, they address insulin resistance, hormonal imbalance, and glucose volatility, the core drivers of diabetes progression. Personalization enhances these benefits. If fasting blood sugar or morning spikes are your main issue, peanut butter should play a larger role. If constant hunger, cravings, or stubborn A1C are your biggest challenges, almond butter deserves priority. And if nerve discomfort, sleep issues, or electrolyte imbalance affect your glucose control, pistachio butter offers the most support. Portion control is essential. The ideal serving is 1 to 2 tablespoons per day, not per butter. Nut butters work best when measured, not eaten straight from the jar. They should be paired with fiber or protein, such as vegetables, yogurt, or whole nuts, to further reduce glycemic impact. Always choose natural, unsweetened nut butters with minimal ingredients. Avoid products labeled reduced fat, honey, chocolate, or sweetened, as these often contain added sugars or unstable oils that spike blood sugar. Store natural nut butters in the refrigerator and stir before use to redistribute natural oils. In the U.S., natural peanut butter typically costs $2.50 to $4 per jar, almond butter $6 to $9, and pistachio butter $8 to $12. While pistachio butter is more expensive, its mineral and antioxidant profile makes it a valuable therapeutic option when used sparingly. Nut butters are not indulgences. They are metabolic tools. When peanut butter, almond butter, and pistachio butter are used intentionally, they support blood sugar control, protect nerves and blood vessels, regulate appetite, and make diabetes easier to manage on a daily basis. Combined with dry nuts and carefully chosen dried fruits, they complete a practical, science-backed strategy for eating well with diabetes, without fear, confusion, or unnecessary restriction. If this video helped you understand food differently, like the video and subscribe to Diabetes Healthcare. Share it with someone managing diabetes, and let us know in the comments which food category you'll start using first to support better blood sugar control.